So, it seems that when I talk about one wrestling thing, and I basically trim out a clip talking about one other wrestling thing, it seems wrestling news just keeps coming up broad, just keeps coming out today. What a post-Labor Day, if you will. But apparently, according to several sources, including Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, it seems that Kevin Owens, his contract with WWE is coming up in January of next year. Now, I'm not sure about Sami Zayn's, if it's coming up maybe a lot sooner, because he did show up sooner with WWE, so his might be maybe November, December, who knows? Maybe they both, agree to, leave at the same time. We don't know. And this is really interesting to hear and report, because apparently Kevin tweeted and then quickly deleted, just as quickly as he put it up, he deleted it, a picture of himself, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks from PWG, with the picture of them called Mount Rushmore, which was a stable they were part of in PWG, and I guess in various other independent organizations, maybe even Ring of Honor, and he quickly deleted that. And you have to wonder, is he sending a message or something? Because according to other information, he put in his, I guess you could say his destination, if you will, like where your hometown is and everything, on Twitter. He put, "I'm almost there." And you have to wonder exactly what is going on here, right? Now, of course, a lot of fans are pretty much speculating that he and Sami are AEW bound. I mean, let's face it, Sami Zayn did mention AEW when it first started. But the way he mentioned it, being a heel, of course, was very, swami, very small, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very smarmy, swami, if you will. Very sarcastic, snarky, if you will. And, you would think, well, maybe he's not AEW bound, because he's pretty much embraced a gimmick that Vince likes, obviously, right? He recently had a run with the Intercontinental title, not once but twice. So why would he want to leave? And that's a good question. As far as we know, though, it looks like both could be AEW bound. Just by, Kevin saying what he did and quickly deleting what he put up and then taking it down, it seems that they are both, on the verge of going to be all elite. Now, some have come out and said that it's a better fit for Kevin if he goes to All Elite Wrestling and becomes Kevin Steen again. And it might just be a good fit for him, but we don't know. We don't know if it's a good fit or it's not. The same with Sami Zayn. Some could say he can go back to being El Generico, and it would be a great fit for him. And that might be true. But here's the thing. This month just started, and this news just came out. And apparently, according to Alex, there are going to be more cuts that coming from WWE. Probably mostly NXT and Performance Center-wise and 205 Live, wise. But maybe even some from the main roster. And could one of those cuts be Sami? We don't know. But right now, this is really intriguing, because recently you just had Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, formerly Daniel Bryan, debut at All Out. So it's interesting that now the word's spreading that possibly come January 2022, after the contract expires, if they're both going to be out at the same time or around the same time, that they will be AEW bound. And I could already see people creating or makeshifting the Is Elite, graphics that AEW puts up when they get a new talent. I could see them already makeshifting it by saying Kevin Steen is All Elite, El Generico is all Elite. I can already see them doing that, and honestly, I don't blame them if there is truth to it. But the fact of the matter is, there may not be truth. Hold on for a sec. Like I said, basically, this month just started, so there's a lot of time between now and January for a lot of things to change. I mean, you can't tell me that Vince McMahon, Triple H, they won't try to keep Kevin. if you will, because, and I know I say if you will a lot in my videos, so maybe I should put that on a t-shirt. But anyway, you can't tell me they won't try to work their asses off to try to, keep Kevin and keep Sami, within the company. Because there's obvious, because when you think about it, do you really believe that they want to lose Owens and Zayn at the same time to All Elite Wrestling? They don't. They don't want to. And what I was trying to say before the phone rang and I got interrupted, which I do apologize for, by my mom, because she was letting me know where she's at, because she's coming home. What I was trying to say is, even though the contracts are up in January of 2022, what we have to, and again, as I mentioned earlier, I can already see people makeshifting those is elite things for them. What we have to realize is they will have 90-day compete clause. And what that means, basically, is once their contracts are up in January, whether it's on New Year's or afterwards, who knows, they will still have several months before they debut. Now, the only way Kevin Owens and Sami could directly get into AEW without any waiting is if they added a no non-compete clause into the contract. In other words, basically, because we've seen it, I think we've heard about it being put into people's contracts before, to where, basically, once they agree to maybe a new deal, they want a certain provision put in there, and that provision is, hey, once my contract's up, I don't have to wait to go anywhere, I can just go. So maybe that's what Owens and Zayn did. Maybe they put that provision in. That'll be something to, that'll be interesting to see come the first Dynamite of the new year. That'll be really interesting, especially if it's the first Dynamite on TBS. It'd be really interesting to see, if that's the case. And if it is, then AEW is going to have a lot of momentum continuing for them in 2022. But if not, and they have to wait 90 days, depending on when the contracts are up in January, then I want, like for example, if the contracts are up on, let's say, January 2nd, the day after New Year's, you see, the February 2nd's 30, March 2nd is 60, April, they wouldn't be able to show up till maybe Double or Nothing in May, if you really consider it. If they want to take a break a little bit during that time, maybe do a few one-offs here and there, at independent places, that they can honestly, do that, and then they can, do things like what Ruby Soho did, what Buddy Matthews, as he's being known now, formerly Buddy Murphy's doing. They could create little vignettes, kind of announcing the possible arrival in All Elite Wrestling. And that maybe they can even say what I'm trying to get at is that their arrival will be at Double or Nothing. That's a possibility. That is a possibility when you really think about it. But we'll have to see what the next several months have to offer, and what they're going to present to us. Because, like I said, as far as we know, we're just starting out. We're just getting this news now, and Triple H and Vince could say, hey, we want to keep you, and here's what we're offering, and we'll throw anything else in there that you want, any other provisions. And heck, if I'm Kevin Owens, I say, hey, you want me to stay? Give me back my package pile driver, and let me be the Kevin Steen of old, but in WWE. And if they want to keep him, I'd say do it. I say give him that package pile driver back as a provision, and let him get as wild as he could, as he was in the independents as Kevin Steen. But as Owens in WWE. Because we had seen flashes of that once in a while, and people embraced it. People loved it. So I would say do it. And if I'm Sami Zayn and they want to keep me, I'd say let me have a provision. Let me do a loser leaves WWE thing, but let me come back as El Generico. So, to me, those would be the best provisions to go with. To me, if I'm negotiating a deal with WWE and they want to keep me and I'm Owens and I'm Zayn, those are the provisions I work with. So, but again, we have to see what's going to happen between now and January, and most importantly, if they have a 90 days compete clause on them, unless they added a provision of, hey, once our contracts are up, we can just go anywhere, no questions asked. Well, we'll have to see mainly. Then again, it'd be a huge ratings get, a huge surprise on the first Dynamite on TBS of the new year. But if that doesn't happen and they have that 90 days non-compete clause, than we have between now and Double or Nothing of next year before we see him in AEW. But let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about Zayn and Owens possibly being AEW bound in 2022? How do you feel about it? Let me know what your thoughts are in the live chat during the premiere, as well as in the comments below. Like the video, and also check out my Teespring store. Merchandise is below that you can see that I have available. And I will talk to y'all later.